if I say a few words? Thank you.
Like comedy and Catholic birth control, politics is all about timing. You could be counted a great Chancellor of the Exchequer by simply being in the job at the right time, get carried along with a worldwide boom, benefit from circumstances completely out with your control, waste vast oceans of public money, ruin everything you lay your dead hand upon, and still come up smelling of room freshener. The opposite also applies. Say something that is essentially true at the wrong time, and you'll be taking an ordure shower before the words have died on your lips. Hilary Benn, the Environment Secretary, whatever that is, stated quite correctly that high oil prices are actually good for us in the wider sense. It encourages us to save a fuel that is a finite resource. It leads to less pollution through more efficient use, and propels private enterprise to come up with healthier alternatives, which rely less on the crackpot countries with all the black stuff. So what he said was right. But the timing was a bit off. If he were a woman called Mary, he'd be pregnant. It's the last thing anybody wants to hear from the very man they're looking to for help. Embrace your suffering. It's good for you, he's saying, which gets a pinched face and an ecstasy of fumbled hand gestures all round. We barely know how many fingers to show him. Which is exactly where a lady, to use the term loosely, or a loose lady, to use the term exactly, found herself on the beach in Dubai astride a man in want of trousers when asked politely by the local constabulary if she wouldn't mind not having sex in front of the locals. She responded in the English manner, that it ain't none of your bleeping business, and don't you talk to me, and who do you bleeping think you are, and so on. She was going to call the embassy. Didn't they know who she was? She'll sue them. You know, the usual. Had she done this in Brighton, she would have been let off with a warning. Had she done it in Blackpool, they'd be selling the image as a postcard by now. But she did it in the United Arab Emirates, and even a member of Her Majesty's government could tell you, that's bad timing. It's actually hilarious. The more you read about it, the funnier it gets. The British woman facing jail accused of having sex on the beach. Oh, I could do with a couple of pints of sex on the beach right now, Victoria. What do you say? Come on, to hell with the show, let's go. I want one with an umbrella in it. She was accused of having sex on a beach, would be free if she hadn't threatened to sue the arresting... Oh, I would have paid quite a lot of money to have ringside seats at this. It would have been hilarious from start to finish. She's going to sue the arresting officer, a Dubai police commander revealed yesterday. Police were called by 4 enraged Arabs who were sitting on the sand, minding their own affairs, when Miss Palmer and fellow Briton Vince Accords began having interface in front of them on a sun lounger. As soon as the officer told them to stop, this woman started shouting that she was going to call the British Embassy and would sue us. Now, the Dubai police officer probably doesn't speak like that, but that's the voice I'm going to give him. She said she was very important. Who is she exactly?
Isn't she a secretary?
Oh, right, one of those very important secretaries, yeah. She said she was very important, told us we couldn't arrest her, and was extremely loud and rude. Which reminds me of an email I got from a chap who was a policeman a little while ago, and just in commenting on the nation's youth and their inability to comprehend what normal behaviour consists of. He said he apprehended one perp, one teenage rat-faced oik, and said, I'm arresting you. To which the response was, no, you're not. As though his parents had just sent him to his room. Anyway, back to Dubai. She said she was very important and told us we couldn't harass her and was extremely loud and rude. Well, she would be, wouldn't she? If she hadn't made such a fuss, the whole affair could have been dealt with quietly and she would now be free. But because all this happened in front of 4 local people who had originally called us, we had to be seen to be taking strong action. Well, they didn't really. They tried not to, didn't they? They were almost falling over themselves to be nice and polite under the circumstances. They asked her if she wouldn't mind not doing it, and then came back a little while later to find her still doing it. Now, of course, there is an excuse here. Nobody accepts responsibility for their own actions anymore, and the excuse is, I was really drunk at the time. Which seems to be the excuse for pretty much anything that goes on now. I've been drunk, and I've never had sex with a stranger on a beach in Dubai. Maybe that's just me. I've also never stabbed a vicar when drunk. I must be weird. Anyway, Miss Palmer, a 36-year-old saleswoman. Oh, that's what she is. She's one of those very important saleswomen of the IS. And Mr. Accords, a businessman, were strangers when they arrived at the all-you-can-drink brunch at midday on Friday, July the 4th. It's not the kind of venue that you expect all-you-can-drink brunches, Dubai. 10 hours later, they had stripped off and were apparently having sex on a sun lounger close to the iconic Burj Dubai Tower on the city's Jumeirah beach, still crowded and lit by lamps. They face up to 6 years in jail. I bet the jails in Dubai aren't nice. I bet they don't get Sky TV. It'll be Al Jazeera for as far as the eye can see. Actually, it's not a bad channel, Al Jazeera. You almost feel as though you shouldn't be watching it. But it's quite, it's not bad. Sometimes you just can't stand the BBC News anymore because it's just so childish and babyish, and that woman's coming on to tell you what the weather's like. Hello! Well, it's going to be a little wet today, so you want to take your Mac and your brolly. Like we're all three. And then you'll flip over to Sky, and they've got, the usual ads for, have you been hurt at work? And you just can't stand it anymore. So you go up past Fox, who are shouting at you, and it actually, if the alternative is Sky, we should be very glad we haven't got Fox. Because those people are, well, I've seen nicer individuals under rocks in the garden. The kind of thing that you go to the garden centre to get a spray to remove. You feel unclean. And then you go into Al Jazeera, and they're usually talking about stuff that you're not remotely interested in, but they're doing it level-headedly. I quite like it. Anyway, back to this. When the officers... it's still a quote. When the officers arrived, these two were on the sun lounger, almost completely naked, in front of lots of people. They were oblivious to everyone. The harassing officer politely asked them to stop, but Miss Palmer leapt up and started shouting. Now, picture this in your mind. She is almost completely naked, and the man was without trousers. Yet still she leapt up and started making a scene. Oh, it's just fantastic, isn't it? The officer saw everything. This is a very shameful thing here in Dubai. Well, it used to be a very shameful thing here, too. How times change, eh? We would have sent her on our way, but her mistake was to shout at us and threaten us. As such, we couldn't just let her go. If we had, the locals would have complained to sheikhs and the media that we are treating foreigners differently. Both Brits who've surrendered their passports and are out on bail claim they were so drunk they cannot remember whole swathes of the evening. Maybe they have a different kind of booze in Dubai, but I've never been that drunk. I've thrown up once, had to sit down occasionally, gone to sleep every now and again, but never had sex with a stranger on a beach in front of locals in a well-lit place, having previously been asked to stop. That I would have remembered. I'm just mystified by this behaviour. I don't get it. Hands up who's been so drunk they've hit a copper. Oh, no one. So it's not just me. And certain sections of the press are agreeing with me. I think that there's sort of... Well, not that, I don't think any of them are agreeing with me. I think there's spluttering outrage all around. How dare these people go over there and, don't you realise you're representing this country, and what sort of message does this send out, and blah, blah, blah. I'm faced with the other side, who think it's all a bit much, and they're being picked on, and how dare the nasty right-wing press revel in their downfall. I think I'm the only one in the middle that finds all this hilarious. And I'm the one I'm probably the only one that hasn't been reading a single word of the Max Mosley trial. Not one word. Don't really care. Not interested. Neither am I interested in that podgy bloke who presents the football, having relations or not with some other woman who presents a TV programme, which was all over the tabloids today. There can't seriously be anyone in this country who's interested in that bloke's sex life. I mean, come on. But such is the paucity of news Harry and William have not fallen out of bougies in a good long while, that we're we're reduced, really, to that. What we need is a good, juicy sex story of somebody that could actually grace a glossy magazine cover. This is LBC.
Hey, Churchill. Oh, yes.
This is LBC on 97.3. It's news time at 7:30.
60
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. The number 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. Don't wait for me to say your favourite topic. Whatever happens to be on your mind, it's always open phones. Imagine you have a laminate that says access all areas. First call, Cabby, John.
Hi, Nick. How you going, mate?
I am all right, thanks.
Nick, only a hypothetical question on the bit of the news today about Jackie Smith with this knife crime.
Yeah.
Right, I know that she's done some backpedaling now on the latest news where she's saying that she didn't want the perpetrators of knife crime now to go into the A&E and see people, that
Right.
the doctors are going to talk to them. But originally the idea was to take them into there.
Yes.
Only hypothetical, as I say, Nick, probably not, should be jokingly on this very serious...
No, go ahead.
subject. But if someone went in there into the A&E and it was the one who stabbed them, and they carried on the attack when they was in there, would she finally be out of a job?
I just thought when I said on Friday, because they had flagged up that they're going to say something important on Monday, turns out they didn't say anything important on Monday, they just let it out in dribs and drabs over the weekend. And when on Friday, wind the tape back, what I said was, it'll be a bunch of old flannel, a bit of nothing, and everything that they say we'll have heard before, and it won't actually get to the root of what needs to be done. And I was absolutely right in every respect. I laughed out loud when I heard that. I mean, you're lying in hospital with tubes coming out of you and a gaping wound, and in troops a bunch of rat-faced kids in hoodies. That's the last thing you want to be presented with, isn't it?
And secondly, Nick, I don't know if you saw it on today's news that the American Anglican bishop, he's come over here to do a talk and no one wants him. Have you heard about this?
Well, it's not accurate to say no one wants him. Some grebo with long hair stood up at the back and said, repent, 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 and was asked politely to leave.
Well, that was what I was going to say. I was quite impressed, actually. I didn't know the Anglicans had some heavies there to chuck him out. Did you see him?
No, I didn't. I only saw a picture of this guy with a Triumph T-shirt on.
They weren't having none of it, I'll tell you. They was on the job. He was out.
Right, well...
I was not messing about, Nick. I'll tell you, I was quite impressed.
Don't mess with God's staff. Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, John.
All right, Nick. Cheers, mate.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. I don't want to do a show about religion, but I think that is also a great comedy, that all those silly men in their silly clothes, now, with all the problems facing the world, are bickering with each other about women and gays. Like there aren't any gays in the church. Come on. I just think it's fantastically silly. What a lot of silly people. Here's the knife plan. Gordon Brown's promised shock tactics to combat knife crime unravelled yesterday as the families of stabbed victims and politicians branded them half-baked and not tough enough. Well, you could have said that before he even mentioned what it was that he was going to do. And on Friday, I read out the method by which they reduce crime in New York. And as I said, it's not as though they're doing this in a foreign language that we don't understand. They're doing it in English. The thing was written up in a newspaper. Gordon and his... I was going to say Gordon and his morons, but that's just a reference to an old punk song. Gordon is a moron. I should get that one out. It was Jilted John, wasn't it? By Jilted John, yeah. In fact, that's incredible that people aren't playing that. I shouldn't have said that on the air before I actually did it. I'm going to make that an MP3 file, and you'll be hearing it coming out of this show soon. A bit cruel, but what the hell. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. Even as Jackie Smith, the Home Secretary, unveiled the measures yesterday, it emerged that they had already been announced by the government little over a month ago, which is another favourite trick of the government. They say, oh, well, we're going to have a raft of new measures. And they just say, they restate what they previously said and didn't act on before. And instead of saying, oh, well, I'll just go through it and pick it apart one by one, families of victims of knife crime reacted with derision to Miss Smith's claim that visiting a hospital was far tougher for an offender than serving a jail term. And if you thought that, if you think about it, going to a hospital and seeing what the results of knife crime are, like stabbing people and talking to doctors and them telling you what would happen if you stabbed somebody there and there, well, isn't that just giving them more information on how to stab people more effectively? Oh, they'd be loving it. I mean, as kids, you really get into all that gore, don't you? I mean, as adults, it kind of puts you off a bit, but you're fascinated by blood and gore. And I mean, look at the audience for gore movies is teenagers. They love a bit of it. As if victims are going to want to see the perpetrator turn up with their mobile phone taking footage to put on YouTube. Most A&E departments are overloaded anyway. People can't wait for treatment while thugs pop in to see their victims. Well, I mean, of course, that's the first thing that occurred to me. Accident and emergency, it's a bloomin' hellhole in there. There's no room, apart from anything else, for giant troops of sullen, drivelling youths to come around and take a quick peek. I mean, doctors are rushing hither and thither trying to save lives, and you've got a school of like an entire classroom of perps peering at you, eyeing up the syringes on the stand to see if they can't nick them, or whatever other drugs happen to be hanging around. I'm just wandering around A&E. I mean, what a stupid idea. Critics cast doubt on the effectiveness of shock tactics such as hospital visits. One study of the American Scared Straight program, which confronts young criminals with their victims, found that it led to an increase in offending rates. Well, probably because they just like what they see. Around 60 people are stabbed or mugged at knife point every day. Wow, pause and think about that for a second. Every day, 60. Not the ones or twos that you get to mention in the paper. It's virtually constant. 20,000 knife attacks in the last year alone. Miss Smith toured television studios to speak about the recycled package of measures in the Youth Justice Plan, which will be published again tomorrow. Alf Hitchcock. Alf. Of course, his name's Alfred, but he couldn't possibly call himself that. Of Scotland Yard, the Assistant Commissioner appointed by Miss Smith to coordinate the new approach, proposed a non-military version of national service. Youngsters who were not in education, jobs or training would do paid community work or be sent on overseas aid programmes. And that's not going to happen either. I think we've gone too far along the human rights road. None of these measures are actually going to take place. Neither will teachers be able to search kids for knives or drugs or whatever it is, because that would be abusing their human rights. It's almost as though trying to prevent people from breaking the law is illegal. The whole world's gone crazy. Here's Collindale. Solis, is that right?
Yes, hello Nick, good evening.
How are you?
Lovely to speak to you. I've got an 11-year-old daughter, and a few years ago I used to work in a few magistrate and crown courts, and I took her for a tour of the cells to show her, look, this is, if you're naughty, this is where you'll end up.
Right.
Trying to do a good parental duty and all that, and it shocks her, because cells aren't pretty. They're dirty, they're grimy, they stink, and all this, that, and the other. And she was detached. She was like, no, Mum, I don't want to be a naughty girl, blah, 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 blah. And she told all her school friends, that so much so that she went a bit too far and said, if they were naughty, that my mummy will put you in prison. So her teacher ended up with a very good class. But I don't see why schools don't have days out in courts to show children this is what happens, this is real life. This isn't EastEnders or The Bill. Things are so terrible. Why don't we just show these to the kids?
Yeah, on the other hand, all they have to do is pick up a newspaper and...
yeah, but it's a newspaper, it's a story, but if they actually see the cells, how dirty they are,
well,
a proper Crown Court judge and think,
yeah,
oh my God.
No, I don't really buy that, I'm afraid, because when you're committing a crime, you're not thinking that you're going to get caught at the time.
No, I know that, but when I showed my daughter, because she wanted to know what my job was, and I didn't really want her to see it, but then in the end I showed her, and it shocked her, because they don't show you stuff like that on the telly. They
But
don't
honestly, though, Celise, I mean, was your daughter in danger of going the wrong way anyway?
No.
Right, okay.
She's determined to be a police officer when she grows up. You know, she's very much an officer at school. If anyone gets bullied or anything like that, she wants to help out and do all kinds of things, you know. But at the time when she wanted to look where I was working, I showed her, this is where a judge will sit, this is where the prisoners would sit, and all that. And it shocked her, because she'd never seen anything like it.
Well, it probably reinforced good behaviour, but it probably wouldn't negate future bad behaviour.
The pointless thing that Jackie Smith was saying was we could take these kids over to A&E, as if A&E isn't busy enough.
Exactly.
You know, but, you know, just to show children, instead of going to these, I don't know, but just to show this is what would happen if you are naughty.
Right. Okay. Good job, Celise. Thanks very much. All right, cheers, Tara. It is 7:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. The A12 is still looking slow southbound towards the...
The phone number 0845 6060 973. I don't want to do another show about knife crime, because I just can't stand it anymore. So anything else that you would like to talk about, that would be just super. Thanks very much. You can text as well, 84850. A text. How do the tabloids have the gall to say that the couple in Dubai are giving Britain a bad name? What must visitors to the UK think of us when they read them? What does that mean? You're shrugging your shoulders. You put it up there for me to read.
Well, we thought you'd understand it.
How do the tabloids have the gall to say that the couple in Dubai are giving Britain a bad name? What must visitors to the UK think of us when they read them? That they're giving Britain a bad name, presumably. Or our name is such mud now that it is impossible to give us a bad name. By doing anything, you couldn't dirty our name more than it has been already. Maybe that's what they mean.
No, I think what it means is...
Oh, no, I got it wrong.
is the tabloids are being hypocritical, because by writing about them and saying, how disgusting...
Yeah.
When tourists come here, they read
they read the tabloids,
and they find out about it.
Right, okay, so it's the tabloids themselves that are giving us a bad name. I get it. Yeah, well, it is surprising when for people when they come over. I mean, but people in America, they're just completely unused to this. Of course, they have pornography in America, and they have news, but they don't mix the two like we do. Very strange. I think that we are probably the only country in the world that does that. What an odd people we are. And we're not thought of as sexually permissive. In fact, quite the reverse. We kind of are, but that's not the way that we perceive either ourselves or other people perceive us. We're still caught in this sort of 1950s, clenched, furled umbrella, hat pulled hard down on the head kind of mindset, aren't we? That's the way we think of ourselves in black and white. Terry Thomas, and, a fag and a cigarette holder. And that's how other people think of us as well. But, the reality needs, what's his name used to say on that silly European game show, he needs to catch up. Another text. I'm a hospital doctor and I've got enough to do, let alone talk to criminals. Thank you very much. Well, it was curt and to the point. Well, he's a very busy man, of course. A text says, you idiot, a raft of new measures is a euphemism for get a tray of drinks from the bar. I feel so stupid. Now, there are some surveys which come under the heading, study the bleeding obvious. One was that sleep helps you thinking. I had not much to sleep over the weekend, and I was a drivelling idiot on Saturday and Sunday. I couldn't string two words together. It was embarrassing, because I work on Saturday and Sunday.
Rock and roll!
So my apologies. A good night's sleep really does improve the way our brains work the next day, scientists have discovered. Sleep appears to strengthen connections between the communicating nerve cells in the brain. Scientists in Switzerland studied a group of volunteers who were taught a new skill or shown images that they would later have to remember. Those who slept properly performed better. Well, duh. How much must this survey have cost? What period of time did these experts languish over this? Honestly, most surveys, just come directly to me. I'll tell you what the result will be, and you'll save a lot of time. The research will be presented today at the Forum of European Neuroscience Conference in Geneva. Well, that sounds like a great waste of time, doesn't it? A conference in Geneva. Right. So presumably the hookers will be working overtime, assuming that they have such things in Geneva. And the bars will be busier than they've ever been. No one will be sitting there listening to these people say sleep helps. Because we know that. So that's one. Study of the bleeding obvious. Do you want another one? Too much time spent on computers rather than working with their hands is threatening children's intellectual development, according to a report. Hands-on learning and play teaches children important life skills. Again. Duh. Allowing them to gain an understanding of materials and experience of how the world works. That's not a sentence. Oh, important life skills, allowing them to understand how the world works. Right, okay. So hands-on with metal and wood and so on helps you understand how things get put together, rather than sitting with your face sucked into the computer screen and you're getting repetitive strain injury because you're forever clicking on your mouse. Wasting your time watching kids getting whacked in their parts having fallen off a skateboard on YouTube. That is the biggest waste of time that's ever been invented. Somebody sent me a link to a Danny Kaye clip. It was the flagon with the dragon and the potion. The pestle with the vessel has the... Oh no, I've forgotten it again. The lotion with the lotion with the potions in the vessel with the pestle. The flagon with the dragon has the brew that is true. The pellet with the poisons in the... I can't remember. See, I would be useless. I'd be dead by the time the nectar had passed my lips. Anyway, they sent me that clip of Danny Kaye saying that. 3 hours later, I was still watching clips of Danny Kaye. It's insidious how it wastes your time, YouTube. It should be illegal. It's like a drug. Because they'll show you something you like, and then in a little column on the right it says, well, if you like that, you might like this. And, as I say, 4 days later, you look up, having not eaten or moved from your chair. It should be against the law. Anyway, back to this. It claims that educational policies which have led to the reduction of subjects such as woodwork, metalwork or crafts in school are having an adverse effect. I can remember metalwork in school. Did you ever do that? Woodwork, metalwork, anything like that? Hands-on, whatever it is?
Yes, I nearly chopped my thumb off.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was that the project?
Yes. I was half successful.
I made, I think the first thing I made was an ashtray. Can you believe that? As a kid of about 10 years old, the first project in metalwork was making an ashtray.
Was it made out of wood?
Plastic, I think. No, it was... I mean, that's extraordinary when you think back how... it were grand when I were a lad. We used to make crack pipe in metalwork. And you tell that to the young folk today and they won't believe you. An ashtray. That's only just occurred to me. That's the first thing we made. Isn't that shocking? And then we made a name tag, presumably to put over our toes after we died of emphysema. And a plumb line, which is essentially a weight of metal on a piece of string. None of these difficult tasks, really. But it gave you an idea about the working of metal. It gave me the idea that I never wanted to work with it again. It's hot and dirty and dangerous, and it smells. Woodwork, on the other hand, I felt an affinity towards, apart from all the splinters, because it's organic and it smells great. I used to get extra woodwork class just so I could sniff the glue that they. The fiberglass glue that they seal canoes with. It claims that educational policies have led to the reduction of subjects such as woodwork, metalwork, crafts, and so on. Outside school, the use of young hands has been reduced to the pressing of buttons or the clicking of a mouse. But there are sound neurological and cognitive reasons why all children should be experiencing a more hands-on element to their daily lives. Essentially, there's an entire generation of kids who haven't got any idea how anything works. The report suggests A decline in practical work has led to defects in areas of cognitive development in children up to the age of 11. So not only do they not know how to do anything, essentially, that, involves working with your hands, but they're also stupid. I think that's what that means. Defects in cognitive development. That means stupid, right? It's also having a knock-on effect on Britain's economy with a decline in engineering skills. Even those who go on to work in the digital sector require practical experience. All this is true, and is, as before, with the Sleep Helps You Think, is the study of the bleeding obvious. Do you want another one? The amount of money that gets wasted. I'm sure that as a... What's the out here? I'm sure that as a scientist, you are forever just searching for ways to seek funding. It must be quite depressing, actually. You have to think up stuff all the time. You think, oh, well, what should we do now? Oh, well, maybe we'll look at why children can't mend a punctured tyre, or whatever it is. And then you go cap in hand begging for some research money in order to keep yourself in the manner to which you become accustomed. It must be it must be painful, actually, to be forever seeking that next job. Being a scientist, kind of like being in show business. Like No Business I Know, LBC.
PC World has the
top stories of the day, LBC 97.3.
Me love you long time.
And I really mean that, John.
Hello?
Hello, John.
Oh, hi, good evening.
How are you?
Fine. I've been listening to the conversation regarding practical skills within schools and so on.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm now a retired teacher of the old metalwork and woodwork days.
Oh, yes.
And plastics. And yeah, I think what's missing from the national curriculum is a reality program in terms of, getting kids into grips with materials that, they deal with every day. Metal, wood, plastics.
Well, don't they do this sort of stuff now?
They don't do it, no. The national curriculum's killed it off.
Well, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, yeah, what you said earlier on, children at schools now are reduced to, pushing a button and clicking a mouse. And that's what they call technology. And the old woodwork and metalwork skills have been reduced. It was very expensive to do it anyway. And don't forget, we had an industrial revolution once, and after the Second World War, we still had metalwork and woodwork workshops, which have now been reduced to Lego kits, if you like, and paper models.
Well, I mean, I know I read that story out, but I didn't believe that they'd actually removed metalwork and woodwork from school entirely. Is that true?
Not entirely. I mean, you think about your own... may I ask how old you are?
Yeah, 47.
All right, well, we're still in the same generation. I'm 58. I started teaching...
No, John, you're much older than I am.
I know, of course. Tutankhamun was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, coming back to reality, yes, schools had to reduce the facilities for manual labour tasks. And don't forget, we've got to talk about food technology or home economics as well for girls.
Food technology? Was that cooking?
Cooking, yeah. I mean, that's gone as well.
Food technology.
Yeah, it's
don't they do cooking anymore?
Well, it's national curriculum speak. The common sense activities of learning about the world for many children in terms of practical subjects, and I must have to say science as well, physics in particular.
Right.
I mean, we've all been reading about physics in the newspapers. Teachers who have just got a physics O-level, if that, are teaching children how to become nuclear scientists.
Well, the problem is that nobody's doing physics anymore, and haven't been doing for a long time because it's hard. So they go and do leisure or deck chair folding or whatever the hell else it is that they're going to get an A star in. They're pushed towards doing that by the school, aren't they? In order to keep up their, in order to tick box and make themselves look good.
Exactly. I mean, someone doing physics has to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
And particularly...
I mean, I belong to the generation like you do, where, you know, you did have a hands-on experience at school where you did get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Whether it be icky food in home economics or in a metal workshop.
Yeah, I never really enjoyed the metal. I mean, you did both, right? But tell me
I've done it all.
Okay, well, wood far more enjoyable than working with metal, right? Because it's organic and real, and it's not. It's
and
warm.
The smells are nicer. As well. Yeah, I agree with everything you've said, and I think the debate should have been on the radio many years ago. LBC didn't exist then, and I think
we apologise for that.
Well, it's not your fault, but LBC is a representative of the voice of the people in this city.
Yeah, only the ones that called, John. But thanks very much. Would you go back to being a teacher now?
No, I've escaped from that.
Right, okay. Well, enjoy it. Thanks very much, John.
Yeah, okay.
Cheers, ta-da. Yeah, he's right. The smell of the woodwork class was so much better than the smell of metal, which smelt of death to me. Coolant, notwithstanding. Coolant was, I remember coolant with great affection. But everything else about it was horrible. The noise it made and the ever-present feeling that you were going to come away with slightly less of yourself than you went in with. Woodwork, on the other hand, was, I don't know, it just felt like you were part of an organic process. Plus, like I say, there was the smell of glue hung in the air. And made listening to the radio, which was always on in the woodwork class, a bit much more enjoyable.
Groovy.
Like I said, I need some more sleep. Wolverhampton. Hello, Andy.
Well, you sound like you're still near that glue, Nick.
I know.
Yeah, you were talking about the research scientist in Sweden or whatever it was.
The what?
In Switzerland. I mean, the research scientists that came up with the thing about sleep and...
Oh, yes.
You need more or you're not going to function.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do with that information now that they kind of have proof.
Advise people to go to sleep at night?
Yeah. And how on earth, there must be more to that. How do they get funding for that? You know, when they kind of knocked on the door and said, this is what we're planning to do.
Because I believe that's what scientists actually have to do, isn't it? I mean,
it is, yeah. I have my oldest school friend, he now lives in Australia. He's like really high up in it, and that's exactly how it works.
You're constantly going around asking for people for some spare change, please, aren't you? Have you got 10 million like that?
But surely they must have done something more than that. Because if you just pitched that, this is the idea I'm kind of looking at. They just.
It's just bleeding obvious, isn't it?
Either they've got too much money. Who is it actually funded? Is it a government thing in that?
I've got no idea, unfortunately. The University of Geneva, so they probably already have their funding. Right. No, that's not true either. People that are at university, often, like hairdressers, a hairdresser will be in demand from a salon that already exists if they have a lot of clients. Right. And so a university professor will be in demand from a university if they already have a lot of funding.
Yeah, sometimes the university ones are kind of allied to hospitals, aren't they?
Yes.
But they get the funding that way, I don't know.
But it does seem remarkable that they wasted so much of their time
away with it,
on coming up with such an obvious result. But, look at psychology. The entire... Well, I was going to say science, but it's not really, is it? The entire social science of psychology is a study of the bleeding obvious. I could tell you the answer to every psychological experiment ever undertaken before they even raised their... before they even put their white coats on.
That was your... was that what you studied, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I studied it, and I'll completely admit I studied it because I wasn't interested in doing anything else.
Yep.
It seemed like it might be amusing. It's the study of people. What's not to like about that? Apart from people. And it was...
was it kind of an easy thing to pass? In that there is no right and wrong?
How dare you?
No, I mean, in that, like you just said, there isn't kind of a right or wrong answer, if you like.
Yeah. Well, I passed, so yes.
And did you pass because your dexterity with words, do you think?
I have absolutely no idea. I probably passed because it was almost impossible to fail. I think one person got a third, and nobody failed, but then it was supposedly a good psychological department, which was the second reason why I chose it. The first reason why I went there was because the university had a radio station, because I wanted to be a DJ, hey!
And you got your wish.
Yes.
May I just say one other quick thing, if you don't mind?
Of course.
I noticed that, I can't even say his name, you know the lopsided Liberal Democrat guy who paired up with the cheeky girl?
Lenbit Opic.
Thank you. That's gone pear-shaped, hasn't it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I wish I'd had a bet on that, because that was... I wonder if there's any more... I'm not trying to instigate a list, but if there was a more kind of mismatch, more of a mismatch than those two.
Well, how about Madonna and her pretend oik husband?
Do you think?
Well, it looked like a pretty big mismatch to me.
Yeah, but at the time, when these pair, Cheeky, whatever her name is...
Yes.
I mean, straight away, it was... The only other... I do remember Billy Joel and the big leggy model.
Yeah, Christy Brinkley.
Thank you, you're good at this. That was, that seemed like it was going to only go one way, but well, she had like a talent and, you could see his...
but she was an uptown girl and he was a downtown boy, so it was never going to work, no.
But this pair, old lopsided and her, goodness me, it can only go one way, can it?
Well, I think there's a tinge of jealousy coming in there, Andy.
Oh, yeah, right.
You keep a hold of that. Thanks a lot, mate.
Nice one, Nick. See you later, bye.
Yeah, when Madonna got married to the pretend geezer, I thought, well, I'll give that 6 months. They've lasted considerably longer than that. Well done. When she finds out that he doesn't, he don't talk like that, when she finds out that that's not his normal speaking voice, she'll be furious. 0845 6060 973. You can text on 84850. A text. Recent research has shown that 85% of people would feel much better if they stopped worrying about recent research. Another. If, after the second or third offences resulting in multiple visits to various A&Es, they could use these offenders as porters, as they would be familiar with the hospital layout. When will the government show some teeth? Are they scared they won't get re-elected? I would think so, yes. Another. Nick, this afternoon, a strange specimen of young squirrel. I saw a strange specimen of young squirrel. It had grey base fur with slight red top fur. What, like Toyah? It was in Vicky Park. What's Vicky Park? Victoria Park, perhaps. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was one of them punk squirrels. Another text. Maybe the line, just 'cause he's better looking than me, just 'cause he's cool and trendy, is why no one has connected Jilted John with Gordon Brown. Oh, right. Yeah, there's nothing cool or trendy about him, really, is there? He is the antithesis of cool and trendy. Cold, not cool. 8:14. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you very much if you're heading out for the A4.
Hello, boys.
You can call me. Oh, please call me. 0845 6060 973. As I said before, don't wait for me to give out the topic that's on your mind. You have to tell me what's on your mind. Not a mind reader. Or you can text 84850. A text. Jackie Smith should hire Kung Fu Panda to sort out the knife thugs. Don't mess with the bear. He kicks ass. Kung Fu Panda. I must have missed that one. But he kicks ass. It's a bit cruel. The Sun will start a campaign, I betcha. Another text. Why British people are such nice and polite at home, but go mad and behave like that abroad? Maybe it's because they think it's just them who have law and rules. Right. That's textlish, isn't it? Not English, it's textlish. Another. It's like the film Idiocracy. I saw Idiocracy again. It's coming around on Sky over and over and over again. They say they show the same films over and over and over again, which sometimes is good because you miss them the first time round. Idiocracy. I was crying. I was laughing so much. It's like the film Idiocracy. We're inventing things that will look after the idiots of the future, but forgetting to tell them how it works. If you get a chance, see Idiocracy. Very, very funny indeed. I'll take this call first, and I'll do more studies the bleeding obvious. Worcester Park. Hello, Ken.
Oh, hello. That was quick.
Oh, well, there's only two of you on the board at the moment, Ken.
Good thing I was listening, wasn't it? Huh? Yeah, anyway, listen, I was listening to that teacher, actually, that taught crafts at school.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was at school in the sort of, 40s, late 40s, actually. And I was taught metalwork and carpentry and how to repair shoes.
Yeah.
But the one that
Sorry.
But the one that took my main time up was the engineering side of it, and because of that tuition at that school, over a period of 20 years, that might seem an awful long time to you, but it was a very intricate thing to do. I built a 5-inch gauge steam engine, tender and coach.
What, from scratch?
Yes, from scratch. By learning how to use a lathe, how to mill, drill, and shape brass. I did all that, and with the aid of, sort of books I'd read, I built this 4.5-inch gauge locomotive, the Flying Scotsman, with a tender, all out of brass, soldered. I got the boiler passed by inspector, because you have to have that done if you build a steam train, because it is possible if they can blow up.
Really?
Yes, you have to have a certificate.
Well, a bloke comes around with a clipboard and inspects your toy.
Don't be frivolous now. He actually comes round and checks that the boiler is safe.
Right.
Because it's like a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a safety valve, it can show, it can go.
You blow your cap off, yeah.
And it took a further 2 years to paint the thing correctly in the correct colours, the correct lining. And I got all this from being started off at school.
Well, you are exactly the sort of person that this country needs. Blokes in sheds coming up with stuff.
Well, I don't do it now, actually. I mean, my profession became a news cameraman, but it's a hobby, and carpentry still is, and I can quite still able to make furniture if I wish to. I don't. I make toys, actually, and give them to Great Ormond Street Hospital.
It's a rapidly vanishing ability, really, and you'd have to think that in 10, 20 years' time, nobody's going to be able to do anything. Switching on a light is going to cause problems. Never mind about changing one.
Well, actually, children can't make anything now, can they? And adults do it yourself, but a lot of them can't even knock a nail in, can they? And I find that sad.
It is a bit. Because it renders you incapable of dealing with the modern world, really.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's nothing better, is there, to see what I made over a period of, I say 20 years. I didn't do it continuously, but it's a long job of labour.
Yeah.
Because it's got to look good at the end of it. It's got to be to scale. It's got to work properly. I mean, it will pull about 6 people on a track.
Blimey.
It's got that much power to it, and there's a lot of people like me about. If you go to these exhibitions, engineering exhibitions, you'll be surprised actually that nearly everybody that goes is of the same age.
Yes.
You do not find anybody in their sort of 18 to 20 that shows any interest.
And I think that the idea was, or if there is actually an idea to it at all, was that, we need not make things here anymore, because what we do in this country now is we do banking and the associated business of taking a pot of money and moving it from A to B and taking a slice, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
But that's not really the basis for a strong future, really, is it? You need to make things, you need to come up with things, and invent
we are called
things.
anoraks, aren't we, by a lot of people, because we do this, actually.
But this country was based on anoraks, Ken.
Well, I don't class myself as one. I just class myself as somebody which was taught something, and I put it to use.
Yeah, Barnes Wallis was an anorak, Ken.
Yes, I suppose they are, yeah.
Wear your anorak with pride.
Is he eccentric or an anorak? I don't think he was an anorak, was he?
Well, he was an inventor.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't invent anything. I built what had been invented before.
Yes, but you were a bloke in a shed. There should be more blokes in sheds.
You mean... Yes, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Thanks very much, Ken.
Take care.
Hey, there was an excellent story about a bloke in a shed, which came out last week. I think it was only in one paper. I'll come back to that. It made me laugh out loud. Here is Northolt first, though. Bupen.
Hello.
Is it Bupen?
Yes, it is. Evening, Nick.
How you going?
I'm okay.
So, what's up, Bupen?
Right, regarding the metalwork and woodwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do metalwork and woodwork at school, when I was at school.
Right, and what did they have you... What did they have you make?
Made a draft set, chessboard.
A draft set? What, circles?
No, a chessboard.
Right.
And a candelabra, made a spanner.
Huh.
Also did engineering studies.
Well, see, all of these things are useful. I made a box. Box is a very simple thing.
Exactly.
All it needs is a bottom, 4 sides, and a hinged top. And I got everything right apart from the hinges. It just had a top that just sat on top with no way of keeping it there. And to this day, it still is without hinges. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get around to it one day.
You can get hinges.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, now, the new school curriculum, my son does DT, and they teach a bit of...
Does what?
DT.
What's
Design
that?
and Technology, they call it.
Design technology, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a bit of woodwork, metalwork, and they work on plastics, etc.
Really? Okay, so there's still a bit of hands-on work.
Yeah, yeah. So just to enlighten the teacher.
Okay, so it's not all completely gone.
No.
Right, and what are they having him make?
He made a wooden ornament with a clock in.
A clock? He made a clock?
No, he didn't make a clock.
Oh,
he
right.
just put the clock piece in. So,
Okay, well, valuable skill. All right, thanks very much for that, Bhupen. Cheers, mate.
All right.
0845 6060 973. Let's have Croydon. Oh, Lisa.
Hello?
Yes, Lisa.
Yes, so I'm listening to the discussion about the youth and the crime, you know?
Oh, yeah.
How they want to make the perpetrators go look at their victims in hospitals.
Yeah, take a quick peek.
Yeah, I've just come back from holiday from a country in the Middle East, lovely country. You know, it's not a strict country, open to Western investment and very wealthy place, a lot of oil. And
which one?
I'm just Dubai.
Right.
And I'm just struck at the different culture. It just baffles me. You get on the plane, you go 6 hours in another country, and there's not the same problems, you know? You don't have all hoodies, gangs, graffiti and spitting and disrespect of authority and stabbings and, you know, all these bravados, all these young boys in gangs. And I wonder, why is that? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
It's totally alien. You go there, it's families everywhere. You feel safe. You can't steal. Obviously, it's a very strict country. I went out with my boyfriend. You put down the HD video camcorder. You could put down your digital camera on the table in the restaurant and walk off. No one would it wouldn't even come into someone's mind to steal it. People would rob things, take things off your back if you were holding it here.
I think it's... Well, when I was in Luxembourg, I was working at Radio Luxembourg in a place called the Villa Louvigny, which had two TV stations and 3 radio stations. And so it had groups of people from all over Europe. There was there were Germans and French and Swiss and Luxembourgish and English.
Yeah.
And every time anything went missing in the building, immediately the suspicion would fall on the English contingent, because it was all it was assumed that we'll nick anything.
Yeah.
So why we do that, why we are so lawless, is a mystery, really.
I'm just trying to... I feel like just doing my own study. You talk about all these scientists trying to look for money. I feel like just doing my own research. I'm fascinated. The different mindset. You go to Dubai, it's just families, children. You can go out 2 o'clock in the morning. You can leave your car door open.
But really, Dubai, I mean, I haven't been to Dubai, but it's a bit unreal, isn't it? It's not, Dubai's not real life, is it? I mean, there's...
Well, it is for obviously the people of the Emirates who live there.
Well, kind of, but I mean, they have their own problems, surely. I mean, I'm sure that women's experience of life in Dubai is not as easy as it would be in this country, for instance.
Yes, but apparently, we spoke to a few people out there with my boyfriend, and they said that the crime is virtually non-existent, and the women do have, like, rights. You know, a lot of it's changing. A lot of them are looking to have careers and not getting married as young as, you know, maybe they're, like, people, like their predecessors.
But it sounded like you came back having enjoyed Dubai.
Yeah,
because it looks like hell on earth to me.
No, it was beautiful. It was lovely. But you come back to England, you can feel the anarchy in the atmosphere. It's that lawless feeling.
Now, is it the feeling that you get, or is it just the feeling, or is it the sense that you get from having read all the newspapers?
Well, yeah, you read the newspaper, but you see the young kids. You see them, like I see, even where I live is a very nice area, but there's an estate nearby. And you see them coming down from that estate, and I've been shouted at when I walk down the road sometimes, like the youth, and they drop their litter, they eat the fast food and drop. And it's just a different lifestyle. I don't know where. I think we give young people the sense of entitlement, and that respect for authority just isn't there.
Yeah, well, that's all true. Yeah, but there is part of that depression that you get having just come back from holiday. So there might be some of that as well. Lisa, I've got to go because here comes the new news, and I bet there's something you won't like in that too. This is LBC 97.3.
Okie dokie.
Like I said before, don't wait for me to give you the topic that is on your mind to call in about, because really, if you just keep looking at the papers, there is only one topic, and I don't really want to do another show about that, because, I just can't take it anymore. Knife crime, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about hoodies, I don't want to talk about people beating each other up, I don't want to talk about people falling out of pubs and throwing up, or any of that grey, hellish nightmare that we've been living in for ages now. It seems like it's the silly season, well, it's not silly, none of it's silly, of course, but it's the silly season is when all the politicians go on holiday. Are they on holiday? No, when do they go? When do they break up? Soon, right? Soon, and for the rest of their lives. And much of the sort of top-line journalists, they also take their breaks. I suppose August is the peak silly season, although I would expect many of the people that go on holiday would be staying here because of the excitement of the Olympics. Can you even wait? I've decided to become positive about the Olympics. I'm very much looking forward to it. It is, in essence, a celebration of what it's possible to do with the human body. That's exactly what that is. Yes, I think it's great. It's going to be in HD, baby.
Yowza.
A text. Nick, are all the journalists getting their holidays in before the kids break up for the summer? I guess we're due for a Mobiles Give You Cancer story soon. Well, if you've seen, again, on YouTube, there's the numerous films of people popping corn with their mobile phones. Have you seen that? Isn't that shocking? Now, it could have been set up, but it looks real to me. If you haven't seen it, essentially it's, people get 4 mobile phones, point them at each other on a table, put unpopped corn between them, and then dial the numbers of those phones. And as they all start ringing, the corn starts popping, which is really alarming. Yet, that's exactly what it feels like when I take a call on my mobile. I feel like my brain's melting. And then comes out my ear in wax the very next morning. I have to put it on speakerphone and hold it at arm's length and shout, which makes me look like I've got a problem, mentally. Another text. Eat 7 curly whirlies over an 18-month period and one of your legs will drop off. Are you reading these texts before you put them up on the screen for me to read? What on earth does that mean? Another one. I'd done motor mechanics at school when I was 12. Learnt how to hotwire a car in 5 seconds. As a result, I was the best joyrider on my estate. Like I said, a little bit of editing, please. It's going on what we were talking about earlier. Squirrels. It's a sign of the end of the world. Red and grey squirrels are breeding. Little hot squirrel action. Wembley. Hello, Jason.
Hiya. Hi, Nick. Good evening.
Jason.
I've got an interesting question, right, I'd like to pose to your listeners this evening.
Pose away.
The question is this. If God made man in his own image, right, for those who are Christians who believe in the Bible, right?
Right.
And we've obviously, as scientists have found evidence or skeletal remains of prehistoric man who resemble ape-like beings.
Yeah.
What does God look like?
Right. What does God look like? Is it a little bit like Richard Branson?
Well, potentially. I mean, or you could say Darnell on Big Brother. But it's an interesting question in terms of where do Christians think man, this is where men came from, mankind came from. And what is the likeness of God if man previously looked slightly apish?
Right. Maybe he looks like Wayne Rooney.
That's another possibility as well, yeah.
OK, that's an interesting question, Jason. I'll throw it out there. Cheers, mate. I only want phone calls on theological issues from now on. We're going all religion all the time on LBC 97.3, and that's our official position. 0845 6060 973, a text. Nick, Gordon Brown needs to step aside as Cameron has sussed it. Throw the hoodies with knives in jail. It's not rocket science, but Gordon, diss that. Diss that. Diss that? Is that predictive text gone wrong?
No, when you diss something.
Oh. As in, I diss that girlfriend. Like that kind of... I gotcha, right. Like I say, I don't want to do knife crime anymore. I've had it with knife crime. Nick, I would like Jackie Smith visit Knife Vic. No, I'm not going to do that. Can you erase all of the ones that are about knife crime from there? I'm sorry, I just can't do it. Text 84850 about something other than knife crime. I've had it with it. Kenley. Hello, Tony.
Hello, mate. Well, I've slipped through then.
Oh, no.
Well, before that, you read out the menu for Gordon Brown's dinner last week.
Oh, yes, so yummy.
And all. I hope they were given complimentary buckets and bicycle clips. But anyway, no, just on quickly, knife crime, taking a man to hospital to look at the victims is going to do no good, because that ain't got no brains in it. And also, I'll keep hearing about building youth clubs. Well, it doesn't take the brain of Britain to work out the headlines. Boy of 16 stabbed outside youth club last night.
So we'll have to close them all down. Right.
Just bang them all up, no visiting rights, and make them build more prisons so they know we mean more business.
OK. Thanks a lot, Tony.
Right, last one.
Cheers, mate. Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. In a nutshell, the feeling of the nation is string 'em up. Like that. I think that's a fairly accurate reflection, right? More or less. A text. A-level physics may have been difficult years ago, in your day, but even as long ago as 15 years ago, when I did mine, some of the questions were taken from old CSC papers. What's a CSC paper?
Isn't it Joe said, isn't it the precursor to GCSE?
I have absolutely no idea. CSC. There was 4 letters, weren't there? GCSE. Wasn't that right?
It's the previous one. You're just too old to understand.
I've got no idea what you're talking about. But recently, and this was also tried in a television programme a little while ago, when, for our amusement, they took a lot of stroppy kids and banged them up in a 1950s-style school. And then we got to laugh at them losing their temper and saying it's not fair, and throwing their bag around and crying. It's hilarious. And part of it, they gave them an exam, which was, I believe, an 11 plus. Was it 11 plus? I think it was an 11 plus. These kids were all 16, and they were all predicted to get A's in their exams, A-levels, whatever it is. Like I said, I've got really no idea what they do now. A-levels, whatever their final exams were, they were all A students, and they gave them an 11 plus, and they failed. Which, and people say that education has been dumbed down. It's not the kids' fault, of course. It's rubbish in, rubbish out. But this was just tried again concerning chemistry. Chemistry pupils have flunked O-level questions from 50 years ago, deepening fears that the subject is being dumbed down. Nobody wants to do chemistry anymore because it's boring. They want to do media studies and all that blooming nonsense. The teenagers were unable to answer questions from the 1960s and 70s set by the Royal Society of Chemistry. I could ask you some of these questions, but I don't even understand what the question is, never mind about what the answer is. It said, but I'm not studying chemistry, so I get a pass. The Society warned that pupils are no longer tested in rigorous problem-solving and are instead guided to the right answers. And why are they guided to the right answers? Why is it made as simple for them as it could possibly be? So that schools can say, Look how many of our students are passing. We must be doing tremendously well. And they will pass that information on to the government, who will say, look, what a great job we're doing of education. Everyone's a genius, because everyone's getting an A star. He added, this fella, whoever he is, he added, oh, Richard, the RSC, the Royal Society for Chemistry. He said, there is no doubt that clever pupils are as sharp as they ever were, but most are being stifled by an education system that does not encourage more detailed problem-solving and rigorous thinking. 2,000 16-year-olds from 450 schools entered an online competition which involved sitting a 2-hour paper made up of chemistry O-levels and GCSEs from the past 5 decades. Well, that's extraordinary in itself, isn't it? 2,000 16-year-olds volunteered to be tested in chemistry. 8 questions were selected from each of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and 2000s, and mixed up so that pupils couldn't identify the source decade. Questions from the first 3 decades came from O-level papers, and from the latter 2 GCSEs. Overall, the students scored 25% overall, which is terrible. A quarter, right? That's awful. And these were people who, presumably, were pretty sure that they were good at chemistry, because they volunteered to be tested in the subject. 25% correct. While the average mark for the questions from the 2000 onwards was 35%, from the 1960s it was 16%. So, in other words, the questions today are twice as easy as they were in the 1960s. Pupils did better as the decades rolled on, with a big leap between the 80s and 90s, when GCSEs replaced O-levels. Last year, in GCSE chemistry, 46.9% of candidates achieved an A or A star. Good grief. That's getting on for half are classed as the brightest in the bunch. Well, that is a statistical impossibility, and it does mean that A and A stars don't mean anything anymore. If almost half get an A, that means that an A is actually a C, by definition. Isn't that right? Because C used to be 50%. B was 60 to 80%, something like that, and you got above an 80, you're an A class student. So, no, I think it was less than an 80, wasn't it, really? Something like 10%. 10% of students would have got an A, if that. Now, it's almost half. By definition, therefore, an A is now only a C. An RSC spokesman, Royal Society for Chemistry, said the apparent lack of problem-solving skills among pupils is a major issue for universities and employers who need students with these abilities so they stay internationally competitive. So they just make questions idiot-proof to ensure a good set of statistics so Gordon can emphasise what a good job he's done on education. But it's all mendacity. It's lying. They're not doing a good job. They come out with an A knowing nothing. And as I say, it's not the kids' fault. They're just doing what they're told. But they're making it easy so that it makes the authorities look good. Isn't that shocking? Well, it's just staggering, really. And they all stand up as one and say, oh, no, it's nothing to do with that at all. We're not dumbing the questions down. Kids are just brighter these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. It's 8:44. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you very much. Still problems on the A40 tonight. There's a breakdown.
Fabulous.
Here's the text. You can text on 84850. CSC is Certificate of Secondary Education, the precursor to GCSEs. Rightio. Stuff you learn on this show. It's like an education in itself, isn't it?
No.
I did metalwork at school. I now make cars for myself, my family and friends and save a fortune on dealer prices. No, you don't. Here's a call in Mill Hill. Hello, David.
Hi there.
David.
Just phoning in about the guy who phoned up to say about God's image and how can he look like us or how do we look like him.
Right.
I once asked a religious man this question because I thought it was a bit of a strange thing. And he said, it's a metaphor. It means that, if you believe in this, it means that God made man with the potential to create to create and to do good, and we must go by that example. So that's what it actually means or translates as.
Right, so not physically looking like him.
No,
but
because God sort of doesn't wear glasses or or anything like that, or have 2 arms and 2 legs. But no, but that's what I once asked the same question, and that was the answer that I got. And I felt it's probably quite a good answer, because it's probably translated into English as well, saying his image, where, as in Aramaic or something, it's probably got a slightly different meaning.
yes, no, that makes perfect sense. So we have the ability to be good like he, she, or it is.
Yeah.
But
and
not
to create.
that he doesn't have receding hair and a paunch.
Beard, no.
No.
Oh, yeah, actually, he might have a beard. But
Well, quite possibly, yes.
All right.
All right. Thanks for that.
Talking.
Cheers.
See
Ta-ra.
ya.
0845 6060 973. There is another study of the bleeding obvious today. Children have an inbuilt sense of right and wrong, researchers claimed last night, to cries of duh all round. The study, which showed children are hardwired to feel empathy, is likely to rekindle the nature or nurture debate and may cast light on the causes of bullying. Scientists reveal that children from 7 to 12 can understand when another person is suffering. Well, of course they can. They're not goldfish. Most also recognise wrongdoing as bullying and feel a natural urge to protect the victim. Really? The researchers concluded that a child's caring side was not just down to a nurturing parent. To discover if children understand pain and suffering like grown-ups, a team at Chicago University showed 17 youngsters films of feet or hands of people in pain. 17? Well, that's not a very large survey, is it? Honestly, I mean the stuff that is, presenting us with problems in the world today, and scientists are wasting their time doing this rubbish. They know what the answer is before they start. Of course, most scientific studies do know what the answer is before they begin their research, which is why they're beginning their research in the first place, in order to come to that conclusion. By hook or by crook, they will come to the conclusion they were expecting. To discover if children's understanding of pain and suffering like grown-ups, or if they understand pain and suffering like grown-ups, a team showed 17 youngsters films of feet or hands of people in pain. In some, the pain was accidental, as when an object fell on a person's hands. Others depicted deliberate pain, such as a bully stepping on someone's foot. Scans showed which parts of their brains reacted. What kind of a parent would allow their child to have a brain scan just to see if they knew what was right or wrong? You just assume that they do, right? Is that the machine that you get slid in on a tray? The machine that goes bang? Bang, 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 bang it goes. A blooming nightmare. It's like you've been shoved into a microwave oven, and you have to remain perfectly still. For accidental pain, activity rose in brain circuits associated with pain processing. But for deliberate pain, parts of the brain linked to social interaction and moral reasoning lit up. What a load of old rubbish. So they did all of this. They subjected youngsters to the possible negative effects of having a brain scan, for crying out loud, in order to determine that they know the difference between right and wrong. Give up. M3, hello, Joe.
How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Hey. I've got an idea. Who is everywhere, has always been, will always be, is all-powerful and all-knowing?
Jimmy Savile.
The universe, brother. We all come from the one true God of the universe. All our atoms were created at the time of the Big Bang.
Right.
Well, you can get in touch with your one true God by just getting in touch with the universe.
Right, I'll do that with both hands straight away. Thanks very much, Joe.
Bye.
It's South Norwood. Hello, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Tony.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good. Just this CSE thing. Well, two things. CSE thing.
Yeah.
When I was at school in the late 70s, you had O-levels.
Yes.
And you had CSEs. Now, the CSEs were for the pupils that found the O-levels a bit of a challenge.
Correct.
And it strikes to me that they probably just done away with O-levels and just put the G in front. And that is where CSEs were, and it was there was a bit of stigma attached to doing them, to be honest, which is a bit nasty thing to say, but there was.
Yeah, there were the thickos who did that.
Yeah,
essentially,
and
in school parlance, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yes, you're quite right. And also the woodwork, while I think of it.
Right.
I had a brilliant teacher of woodwork when I was at school, which was even back in 1977, called Design and Technology.
Yeah.
And his name was Mr. Wood, which always kept me.
Mr. Wood did woodwork. What about that?
He did woodwork and humour, so none of us were any good at woodwork, but we all knew, we all grew to appreciate. It was just like Stephen Fry.
It is amazing what a difference a teacher that you like makes.
Yeah, it was. It was literally, he'd be sort of, if someone acted up in class, he was, now, why do you want to spoil it for everyone? And we'd all be standing there going, yeah, stop mucking about him. It's Mr. Wood's class. You don't muck about in Mr. Wood's class.
That's right. And that was presumably at the time when he, if he wanted to, could have thrashed you to within an inch of your life.
Yeah, or strapped you to a lathe and got your chisel out. And but he was just, and there was not even a hint with Mr. Wood that he would ever have inflicted violence on anyone.
Right.
He might have inflicted a bit of severe sarcasm.
And what was the punishment of choice at your school? Because we used to have the belt, which I think we had
the slipper and the cane.
The slipper.
Yeah, and I got the slipper once. I was doing an exam, and because my name was with a B, you always got to sit at the front of the class.
Yeah.
And I was sitting right in front of the invigilator, this old teacher, and he coughed, and his false teeth fell out. And I started laughing.
Well, as you would, yeah.
And so after the exam, it was, Barker, yes, come here, ouch.
But hang on a minute, a slipper? That doesn't sound like it would hurt very much.
You know, by slipper, I mean, they called it the slipper, but it was like a plimsoll. You know those the old plimsolls?
Oh, right. Before trainers, yeah.
Yes, before trainers.
You used to get them at Woolworths.
Yeah, you can still buy them.
Can you?
Yeah.
I bet they're enormously expensive retro items now.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And they're also all sorts of weird and wonderful colours, but you're starting to see students wandering around something very similar.
Right.
Yeah. But,
boy, did they smell. Whew.
They did. Yeah.
So that was the slipper, eh? Okay, and the teacher that you liked didn't use it. I had a similar experience at my school. Some teachers would use it as though it were a part of their hand. The belt is what it was, and it wasn't an actual belt. It was much more sturdy than that. It was about how long would you say that was, Victoria?
We're looking at 10 inches.
A little bit more than that, and split down the middle so that it parted in the air and then came together on your hands, which you held out, one on top of the other, with a Bible over your wrists in case they slashed you and you bled to death. And the people, and the one teacher that was most keen to use it, religious instruction teacher.
Yes, we had one of those as well. He was mad keen on detentions, and I broke a hand once, broke a finger, and I had two fingers strapped together. I had a note saying I didn't have to write anything, and he was the only one going, well, I think you should try. I go, sir, it's archaic and I'm an atheist. And it doesn't endear you to him, obviously.
No.
He still wanted me to try, and when I wouldn't try, he sent me to the headmaster, so the headmaster could send me back with another note saying he has a note saying he doesn't have to write, so he doesn't have to write.
You should have shown him your fingers.
Well, I did, but it sort of didn't quite work, think about it. It just came out more like Dr. Spock.
Compound your problems, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks for that, Tony.
Cheers.
Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. You can text on 84850. Some texts. Now, before I start them, have you gone through these with a fine-tooth comb and edited and changed the text speak to English? I'm waiting. Have you?
We've done our best. You shouldn't be so picky.
Well, I read something that doesn't make sense. It makes me sound stupid, and I don't need any assistance in that regard. All right. A text. In my metalwork class, my first project was a vessel with a pestle. What? And then your second was a flagon with a dragon. Don't tell me. Well, and the third one was the flagon with a dragon, the vessel with a pestle, flagon with a dragon. Oh, I can't remember what the third one is. Come on, hurry up. What was it? Oh, time's up. Another text. Try being gay or speaking your mind in Dubai, and then that woman can judge the UK. Well, that's absolutely correct, of course. I mean, Dubai might look sparkling and shiny and new from the photographs that you see in the paper. I imagine it's just one dusty, nightmarish, bloomin' hot building site when you get there. It doesn't appeal to me at all. Plus, there's a lot that's wrong with this country, but at least you can speak your mind and walk down the street in a frogman's outfit and a tutu, if you like. Oh, here we go. LBC 97.3, it's 8:58.
What's the best thing about the
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
The pellet with the poisons in the vessel with the pestle, the chalice from the palace has the brew that is true. But they broke the chalice from the palace and replaced it with a flagon with the figure of a dragon. The pellet with the poisons in the flagon with the dragon, the vessel with the pestle has the brew that is true, and on and on and on it goes. If you're dialed up to the World Wide Wait, I recommend that you go and watch that. Not straight away, but at some point, during the rest of your life. And on one of these, if you like that, you'll like this, suggestions, is Danny Kaye warming up for the Royal Variety performance in 1950, something or other. Extraordinarily, they just had a camera on him, just mucking about on stage. The sort of thing that you think back in the black and white days when film was expensive and they couldn't just store it digitally. They would, first of all, have not filmed him, and second, they wouldn't have kept it. That's the beauty of YouTube. All of that stuff is, that you would never have seen probably in your life, is available at the click of a mouse. Isn't it fantastic? I mean, it is actually a tremendous resource. Danny Kaye warming up on stage in rehearsals. I mean, when would you ever have seen that? And it's great. Anyway, that's something to do if you have, a spare 3 days you want to waste. The phone number here, 0845 6060 973. Call me on anything you like that's got nothing to do with knife crime. But anything else, 0845 6060 973. You can text on 84850. A lot of texts. If God made man in his own image, he would look like Jim Royal. What, the bloke off the royal family? No. He would look more like... Who would God look like? He would look more like, He would have to look a bit like a hippie.
We have suggestions of Dumbledore from Lord of the Rings. No, it's not Lord of the Rings, it's Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's a bit... I mean, I know that God is essentially quite old, but I think he would look a bit more vigorous than Dumbledore.
I tell you what, I actually quite liked Morgan Freeman as God in Bruce Almighty. I was quite convinced.
Morgan Freeman has become typecast as God. Every time he appears, you think that it's the Almighty. How bizarre. Here's a call in West Hampstead. Hello, Jim.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
I've never phoned before any station or anything else, but I really, I can't believe you said it. What you said about, I mean, whether Wayne Rooney is, he's no oil painting, but can you imagine if you had said it about Chris Eubank or Mike Tyson? What you just said, gosh, they'd be up in arms. Everybody be up in arms.
Right. So you're really upset about that, are you, Jim?
Yeah, it's not upset, but it's in the day of today in political correctness, I think that you've overstepped a little bit.
Are you in support? Hang on a minute. Are you in support of political correctness?
No.
Well, then, what are you talking about, mate? 0845 6060 973. He wanted to call up and complain about something that he didn't believe in. Right. Well, that makes perfect sense. We have become a nation of people who compete with each other to take offence. Even if we don't think that it's offensive, we think, oh, hang on a minute, somebody else that doesn't think like me might be offended by it, so I'm going to call up and complain anyway. We've lost our minds in this country. Honestly, we have. Taking offence has become a competitive sport. In fact, it will be featuring in the Olympics. This is what we're worried about. Oh, we've become a silly people. Honestly, we really have. Text 84850. Call 0845 6060 973. A text. It's not just women who lie about their age. Gay men do too. I know a man who's in his 50s who sells himself on the club circuit as 33 for the past 2 years. Honestly, are you really reading these texts before you give them to me to read out? What the hell was that about?
Well, I don't know. They might have been listening to a different show. But I thought it was a relevant comment.
Well, when has anybody on this show so far discussed that women lie about their age?
Well, you said you wanted to talk about anything. Well, that's someone talking about what they want to talk about. You can't be fussy when you open it up like that.
Well, no, yes, you're quite right, but that was so... Honestly, come on, how can you defend that? Thanks very much for texting, by the way. We really appreciate your text. Another. Now, before I go into this, have you checked this one thoroughly?
Yes, we have.
Likeness of God is not physical, it is the potential of greatness and spiritual achievement. He, with capital, he has no body, he is a God. Right. Did you hear of the new Kellogg cereal, Credit Crunch? So yummy. Wife tried the popcorn trick at work with 2 of her colleagues and it didn't work. Right. Yes, I've heard that people have tried popping corn with their mobile phones and they haven't had the same success as was filmed on the internet. But perhaps with 2 colleagues, it implies 3 phones. I've seen it with 4 phones. And I wouldn't be remotely surprised if it were actually true. Because, as I say, it boils my brain as soon as I answer the phone. Please never call me on my mobile phone. And the number is never mind. A text. Can you think of a 5-letter word meaning out of date? Are we doing a crossword on this show now?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but the only one I could think of was dated.
Yeah, dated. It's a 5-letter word, meaning out of date. You win today's prize, which is a pen in a presentation box. How come we've got all of these texts and no calls at all? It can't be just because I was that previous one, surely. 0845 6060 973. It's been a monologue, hasn't it? I mean, I've just... Oh. Anyway, Clive will be in a minute, and then and I'll have someone to talk to.
You're wishing your life away. You've got 20 minutes yet.
A text. I did CDT 18 years ago at school. What's that?
Something design technology. Craft.
Craft design technology, righto. The plastic melted and burnt the desk, which went up in flames. Got a U in the exam. A U! Blimey, that is quite a way down the alphabet. That's about as far away from A as you can get. Here's another one. I got a U in physics, O-level. By today's standards, that's almost a C. A U! Well, it used to be F. I suppose F's a pass now. Nick, grey squirrels are looking at red squirrels and thinking, nice tan. Well, you know, grey squirrels, they're no lookers, really, are they? They're a bit plain and ordinary. Red squirrels, on the other hand, well, they're the supermodels of the squirrel world. I bet they've got grey squirrels queuing out the door. Or up the trunk. A text. James, there is... James? Who's James? There is a test. Good eggs sink and float in a bowl of water. Does anybody know, please? Honestly, what the hell are you giving me here to read? What has that got to... first of all, that's to a different show. I'm not James. That show ended at 7. Good grief. Another one. Our woodwork teacher sold us Nazi iron cross pendants back in the late 1970s. I can remember there was no end of nasty Nazi memorabilia in shops in the 1970s. Well, punks used to pin it to themselves, didn't they, in order to upset old geezers, with great success, as a matter of fact. A final text for the moment. Nick, I had a fab teacher at school in the 80s. He taught CDT, that again, Craft Design Technology. His name was Mr. Headhouse. He had a real good vibe about him, and everybody loved him. Groovy. It does help to have a great teacher. Yeah. Yes. Well, I had the most popular teacher in my school did economic history.
Boring.
Really, really incredibly dull. But everybody enjoyed his class because he was amusing and he brought the subject to life. It wasn't so interesting that I actually wanted to study it further, but while you were in his class, you behaved yourself, as opposed to in other classes, like religious instruction, for instance, which we all hated with a passion, in much at much the same level that we hated the teacher who was doing it. And he used to dole out punishment like it was going out of style, which it wasn't. It was very fashionable. But we hated that class and loved the other one, equally bored with both subjects, but yes, a good teacher does make a difference. Not only in your experience of the subject, but in how you behave in class, because you want to gain his approval. But it seems blooming obvious to me. Anyway, it's a short break, 9:15. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you very much. Still seeing problems out.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Hey, you know what's good for you? Smoking.
What?
It's the chemical that gets smokers hooked, but scientists believe that nicotine could be the key to a new treatment for Alzheimer's. What about that? The boost in concentration that smokers experience from having a fag could help sufferers fight the mental decline associated with dementia. Oh, I thought I was getting demented at the weekend. I couldn't string two words together. It was embarrassing. Me doing words for, like, a living and that. Awful. I've started to do those maths questions. You know, I wonder which paper started it. Giving you 3 maths problems, beginner, medium and advanced, that you're supposed to complete in 30 seconds. Because when do you ever use mental arithmetic in this country these days? You don't. When I used to work in a bar, I used to have to do it all the time, because I actually got quite good at it. Well, I did it for long enough. It's the sort of thing that, it is a skill, and I would quite like to go back to it for one night only. Because you've got glasses, dancing around, and you're making 5, 6 drinks, and you've got people shouting at you, "When you ready, Nick?" And you're adding up all this stuff in your head, because you have to add the total in your head and then put it in the till. It's none of this holding you by the hand and leading you down the path like they do these days. It weren't great when I were a lad, because you had to, while you were making all these drinks and people were shouting at you and throwing up and, chucking things at you and all of the rest of it, you had to do mental arithmetic, which was actually really hard. And it wasn't easy mental arithmetic either. It was very complicated, and you had to get it absolutely correct every time, because guys would order 10 drinks in a round, and they'd expect it to be exactly the same price every time they ordered that round. And if it wasn't, they'd want another reason why. And so you had to calculate it all and put the total in the till, because the till didn't add it up for you. And then, well, it was as nothing at the time, but it seems extraordinary these days. You had to calculate their change with your own mind, as opposed to it being told to you by the till. And it's not their fault, because it's a skill that you learn with practice. But you go to a bar these days, or a shop, or anything, and they'll have no idea what 2 things that they regularly sell added up are. They have to turn around and go to the till to tell you that £2 and £2's £4. And you'll give them a fiver, and they'll have to look at the display to see that you get a £1 change. If you treat people like babies, that's what they become. Infantile and completely devoid of any skill in that regard. So I think that these newspapers now giving you these tests are brilliant, and I'm much less stupid than I was before.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Victoria? Isn't that right?
Oh, it shows.
Does it? What, even when I'm sitting down? Here is the M4. Hello, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. Just thought I'd give you a quick call. I've never listened to this station before, but I'm getting near London, so I thought I'd whack it onto a different station. Just heard about the PC correctness. And I completely agree with you after listening to that man. the world has gone stupid and everyone is just obsessed with trying to be right all the time.
Yes. Even if they don't believe what they're saying, they come up with this nonsense in order to feel better about themselves or whatever it is.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't mind betting that they're going to ban that song, I Want to Break Free, soon, just in case it offends criminals. Yeah, I play in a band called Optico, and I work for a supermarket as a part-time job because I just graduated from uni.
Hey, DJ!
Yeah. I actually graduated in popular culture, funnily enough, which is why I'm ringing up about this. But like I said, even though I work in the supermarket, my band Optico don't really have much swearing in our songs, but still, I wasn't allowed to play it just in the canteen over the stereo system because apparently they said without it being professionally censored, it might offend someone. So, yeah, it's all completely gone to pot.
Yeah.
So not just that, like just everything, like about all these do-gooders that go out trying to prove a point, and it's like you said, it's trying to compete with each other, trying to make each other feel less mature. Like I'm a better person. Look at me. I disagree with this. Does that make me better? It's like everyone's got a right to their own opinion, freedom of speech and everything. Provided you don't actually go out and outright offend someone, then surely the world should relax a little bit.
Yeah, we all need to relax a little bit. You're absolutely right. Thanks very much, Dan. Cheers, mate.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
0845 6060 973. Political correctness. There's nothing correct about it. It's just silly. It's just stopping people saying what they actually mean. It's daft. We've become silly people. I think in 10, 20 years' time, we'll look back now and think, blimey, what on earth were we thinking? Well, it'll be amusing, I'm sure, hopefully, to people in the future. Maybe they'll look back and think, God, what liberal times. What calm, peaceful, liberal times they used to live in 2007. Well, you never know, do you? Forest Hill. Hello, Jill. Oh, Jill. Jill.
Hello?
A bit of rustle. Hello, Jill.
Hello. You were talking about Danny Kaye and on YouTube, clips from his films, and actually that's one of my favourite clips. I used to love Danny Kaye when I was younger. But it got me thinking, because the other day I was watching, you're searching and you stumble across stuff on YouTube because there's so much stuff on there.
Yeah.
Well, I came across this clip of Moses, the Charlton Heston film.
Oh, right.
And it doesn't show the whole film, I think, because it's like, I don't know, 4 hours long or something. It's epic. But I watched one clip, and then I ended up having to watch another clip, and I ended up watching actually all of them. But what occurred to me was the fact that in the story of Moses, he takes the Israelites out of Egypt after, I don't know, 500 years, or anyway, a very, very long time. I can't remember how long, hundreds of years. He manages to take them out by, obviously through God's will in the story, but by performing X number of incredible miracles. Like the plague of frogs, the fire of hailstone fire, disease. Then the thing that caused Passover. The death that killed all the children, blah, blah, blah.
If they ever remake it, Harrison Ford is going to have to play Moses. Yeah, go on.
Well, probably. But anyway, so rivers of blood, absolutely everything. Until finally, even Pharaoh can't deny that, yes, these miracles are real and he exists, etc. So, in the film, he leads... I'm laughing because, I'll tell you in a minute. He leads all the Israelites out, and then he gets them all out of there, and then they're going to... and they're all praising Moses, and they get to the river, Jordan, and then someone says, the Pharaoh's coming after us, the Egyptians are coming after us, and it's all your fault, they're going to get us, Moses, stone him, and I'm thinking, flipping heck, he's just performed it.
That seems unreasonable, yeah.
How many miracles did he perform? And now he's saying... Anyway, so he says, eventually goes, right, calm down, we're going to get through this, have faith.
Calm down? Does he say that? Calm down.
I think if I was to write that film, that's how I'd do it. I think it'd be great. Anyway, exactly with that accent, Liverpool accent. Moses with a Liverpool accent. Anyway, so he parts the sea, and they go through, and they get to the other end. So they get to the other end, but eventually the pillar of fire that's holding the Pharaoh's army back, just before the Israelites get to the end, it diminishes, and then the Pharaoh's troops start to go down into the basin of the sea to follow through. Anyway, they turn around, they see them, they go, "Oh gosh, they're coming through! It's all your fault." It's all your fault, Moses.
Blimey, they're not easily pleased, are they?
No, exactly. Now that was my point. Obviously they all get drowned by God because the sea closes over them, and then they go to the desert, and then they're starving. So they're like, "Well, you've sent us out here to die, Moses," and they go stone him again. Every time in the film, they didn't get what they want. They said stone him, and I thought of Monty Python, but B, I thought, my God, it's an example for us in life. You know, if that's the perfect example of you're only as good as your last job or your last show or whatever, because nothing was ever, you know, they didn't at any stage go, "Oh, you've done all this for us, okay, this is a bit of hard luck, fine." Do you know what I mean?
It was a very hard crowd, yeah. Like being a comedian in Glasgow.
Exactly.
Tough audience.
And I thought, what a sort of example for the rest of us, you know. If you do everything for everybody, all those hard-working people out there working for their families, working for their friends, working for their work, and, you know, eventually they perform all these, what are probably modern-day miracles for their family, for their work or whatever, and then someone turns around and is ungrateful. I just think of Moses, I mean, for crying out loud.
It could be a lot worse, yeah. You could be Moses. Yeah, you're quite right. Well, I think that essentially you've spoilt it for us now. There was a lot of plot points in there that you've now ruined for us.
Did I reveal everything?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, yeah. Well, thanks for that, Jill.
Okay, then.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Bye.
There's a lot of companies are very upset with YouTube because they're putting things that are copyright material on YouTube. And I actually think that is not helpful to the advancement of the human race, that they're withdrawing their material, because there should be one source in which you should, with which you should be able to acquire anything that has ever been made. It should be easy. Because if Warner Brothers insists on removing all of their copyright material and having their own site, and if EMI does the same, and if Time Warner does their site, then suddenly you'll have to go and seek out from different sites what it is, the original thing that you're looking for. And you won't, of course, know where to go to look these things up, because you won't know who has the copyright for them. That's why they invented Google. Maybe it won't be a problem at all. Other search engines are available. But no, it's the greatest waste of time that has yet been invented that doesn't involve smoking, popping, snorting, or injecting. And that's an actual fact. A text: God looks like Charlton Heston, only younger and more alive. Yes. Text 84850. Call 0845 6060 973. Clive Bull will be with me in a moment. This is LBC 97.3.
What's your secret, Churchill?
97.3, news time at 9:30. Clive Bull.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
Yeah, well...
Oh, God, here we go.
For once, we were actually comparing our diseases and ailments, weren't we?
I'm much more ill than you.
Yeah, you are, actually. You do look a little bit... your eyes are watery.
Yes.
And I don't know why that is. It's not hay fever, then?
Well, it's kind of... I imagine that's what hay fever must feel like. I have very red, scratchy eyes, yeah.
That's odd. That's odd. No cold symptoms?
No, not as such.
No.
That's... Tired and red eyes.
Oh, OK. Well, that's... you should type that in on the internet and see what comes up. Tired and red eyes. Yes. Then it'll be all sorts of nasty things.
Oh, I could imagine.
So, what are we going to be talking about after 10 o'clock?
Know.
I don't know either. What's been your big topic so far tonight? Okay, don't answer that. Coming up after 10. Actually, one thing I might do, we're going to talk about Obama and McCain and things. And one thing I noticed here is, he's an old man. He's 72.
That's right.
Yeah. And he's also technologically illiterate.
Well, as most 72-year-olds are, I would imagine. I mean, he made a good play of saying, I read emails and so on, and I read blogs, but actually
he doesn't.
He doesn't, no.
No, he gets somebody else to read them for him.
Yeah, but
they print out an email and then bring it round to him on a piece of paper. So, look, it's an email.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, why does a man of his age need to master computers when he could have people do it for him?
Well, that is the question. And is it really true that, people in their 70s don't know what they're doing on the internet?
Well, yes, essentially, because after a while, it's like old dogs, new tricks. There's great truth in that. It's difficult to change the wiring in your brain because it's been set down in brain cement for such a long period of time. So it's the same with new types of music. It just all sounds like noise to an old geezer because he doesn't have the neural pathways in order to translate it into pleasure.
Then is he the man we want with his finger on the button?
Well, aren't they all just heads? Yeah, figureheads for the people, the dark, shadowy men who are actually running things.
They are, but they still sort of represent a certain type of shadowy people behind them, I think.
Right, they all bring their own shadows with them.
I think they do, yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't think, I'm not sure we would be where we are if George Bush, even though he's not the real person in control, but if he hadn't won the election, and it had been somebody else, Al Gore presumably, but,
yes.
He'd have different shadowy figures behind him.
Yes,
and
that's
I'm not
true.
sure that we'd be at war right now.
Well, I don't know. I think the war industry is so great. I think they make this stuff up themselves and just present it to the president of the day as a fait accompli.
Still on the nuts, by the way, I see.
Yeah. George Bush will have the most expensive presidential library of all time. George Bush, this giant mausoleum of a building, will have one book in it, and it'll be a colouring-in book.
Yes, the man who, I'm sure his main plank, if I can use that word, when he was standing for election the first time, was that he was going to stick to sort of home issues. He'd barely been out of the country himself ever, and he wasn't going to worry about what's going on in the rest of the world. And look what happened.
He didn't.
No.
Not really.
And you were doubting me about when I told you about the BBC expenditure and that person who was going to be on a pension of 190,000
a year. Isn't that incredible? Yeah.
Yes.
A pension, mind.
Yeah. Anyway, I went back and double checked it, and it is absolutely true. They're all getting huge amounts of money.
Nice work if you can get it.
Top brass at the BBC, yeah, very nice.
And they say that, of course we're worth this because our compatriots in commercial broadcasting get an enormous amount more than we do.
Yeah.
But what a specious argument that is, because people in commercial broadcasting, they don't have a guaranteed income. The game for them is completely different. They stand and fall based on how much money they make for their respective organisations.
Yeah.
Whereas people who run the BBC, they have no fear of a lack of income. They get something like
all they have to do is spend it well. They don't actually have to bring any money in at all.
No.
Which is the difference. But I just mentioned this in passing as well because their taxi bill has gone up.
Yes.
Yeah. By £2 million a year. To an enormous £5.3 million on driving guests in and out of studios.
Isn't it 14 million in all for all cars?
Yeah. Yes. The taxi bill for everybody. That's just the guests is 5.3 million. If you include the staff and everybody else as well, blimey. 13.8 million. They should run their own cab firm for that, shouldn't they? 13.8 million pounds.
Which is essentially everyone, 100,000 people's licence fee.
Yes.
So, essentially, if you're listening to this now, your licence fee went on a car for Natalie Kaplinsky, or whatever her name is.
But only one way. Which would be the best way. Yes, so anyway, I'm going to be here at 10. I better not take up any more of your valuable time.
Okay.
I know you've got a lot of people waiting.
Oh, boy, do I ever.
So I'll be here at 10. Thanks very much.
Rightio, there he is. Clive Bull, coming up at 10 o'clock. The number here is 0845 6060 973. Here's calling Harrow. Harrow, Jason.
Hi, how you doing?
All right, thanks.
I've got a story about political correctness. I'm a police officer, and I think public sector workers suffer politically correctness a lot more because people have got a lot more time in their offices and twiddle their pens. When I was at training school, I trained as a police officer in Ashford in Kent, and Yorkie bars were in the tuck shop, sort of the police officer's tuck shop. And
police officer's tuck shop.
Yeah, we did have one because we all had to stay on site. It was a 3-month residential sort of camp where we were injected with lots of law and other bits to try and bring us up to speed.
Okay.
And on the Yorkie advertising campaign, it was Yorkie, not for girls.
Yes.
And the entire stock got removed from the canteen and the tuck shop because. And nobody actually complained. We sort of carried out as who made the complaint, and none of the girls complained. But it was one of the, obviously not mentioning any names, but it was one of the sergeants who was going for promotion to an inspector. Thought, oh, I know, I'll sort out this potential for an issue. And I think people in the public sector get promotions on the back of political correctness.
I'm absolutely certain that that's true, yes. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. I mean, that is extraordinary, really, when you think back, that we wouldn't get away with that sort of thing now, would they? Yorkie, not for girls.
And also, we're not allowed to say gypsy anymore. We have to say members of the travelling fraternity.
Really?
So when we do all our notes, it's I saw such and such member of the travelling fraternity, and then we have to justify why we thought they were a member of the travelling fraternity.
That's 7 syllables where 2 would do.
Yeah, so and it's just in case we offend somebody. And then on the other hand, we've got members of the gypsy community who say that they find it offensive to be labelled travelling fraternity, and it's their cultural heritage to be called a gypsy.
You know, the political correctness is it's not correct because usually the people that misguided types are trying to protect don't share those views. They don't think that they are in need of protection, nor do they feel that they're being abused in any way. It's, I don't know, it's like some sort of insane white middle-class guilt about everything.
I do think it's people going for promotion, though. I mean, if say, for example, I wanted a promotion, then I couldn't just say, yes, I've arrested lots of people, I've stopped lots of robbers. I must have done something that's... It's a new buzzword.
Yes.
The buzzword for 10 years ago was proactive and intelligence-led policing.
As opposed to sitting on your arse and stupid-led policing.
Yeah. And over the past 2 years, the buzzword has been community. You know, every Tom, Dick and Harry now says the same thing. It's the community. We must think of the community. We must community. And that's all we ever hear in the police force. So if you want to get promoted, it's, yes, I brought up this initiative where we can serve the community in this way and the community in that way. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, these people don't even know their neighbours.
Well, yes, I was going to say that. There's precious little things such as a community anymore. Nobody knows their neighbours. Yeah, you're right about that. And everyone's completely different from the people that are around them.
London's, it's got so many people living here. We're just a bunch of people all living together. I don't mean to sound rude or cynical.
No, that's true.
That's what we are.
And we're all transient as well. We don't live in the same place for a long time, particularly if it's like blocks of flats. You're in and out in 6 months, and you'll be surrounded by Australians and you know, Germans, and there is no such thing as community anymore because people, you know, the essence of community is everybody, you know your neighbour and you chat over the garden fence and you know the woman up the road and the people next door on the other side, and none of that's true anymore. Yeah.
Now your neighbours are dobbing you in if you stick a glass bottle in your wrong bin, and then you get a fine from the council, and it's all gone haywire.
Are you still a policeman?
I've just finished work. and I'm going to go home, take the dog, and I'm going to go down the pub, and we're going to have a pint. He loves his Guinness, so I'm going to have a pint of Guinness, and he's going to have a pint of Guinness.
Let me ask you this, because I've been carrying this story around for a few days now. Indisciplined and scruffy. Are police going off the rails? This was the headline in the Daily Mail a while ago. And the essence
this was when Blair didn't wear his tie out of do and he had his hair sticking out. Is that right?
Yes, essentially, yes. But the essence of the story is that it's become unacceptable to reprimand police officers for slapdash work and scruffy appearance in case their human rights are being abused.
There is a culture of taking out grievance procedures where everyone's making complaints about every little thing. No matter how bad the police officer is or no matter how badly they've messed up, people are scared to initiate the disciplinary procedure because what will happen is I'm a sergeant and my inspector will say to me, oh, you know, such and such was late today, such and such his work is sloppy, such and such work is this. Can you investigate them, find out what's going on, and then at the end of your investigation I want them disciplined.
Right.
So I will carry out some form of investigation, and the officer may well genuinely be a bad police officer. And we go through the usual rigmarole where we try and set out an action plan, try and improve their behaviour, monitor them for 3 months, the usual stuff. And then if they still continue to fall, at that point you should be getting rid of them and saying, look, you know, we've given you a chance, we've done this. But what's happening is the organisation isn't supporting the low-ranking police officers like myself. So if I say, right, I recommend this person to be given the boot because they failed to genuinely have failed to perform and we've helped them, the organisation will say, well, you know, we don't want to lose people, we don't want to look bad, we don't want them to take out litigation against us, it's bad publicity, and they'll put them in a desk job somewhere upstairs in the crime management unit, behind a desk, just doing admin work. There'll still be a fully fledged police officer with all the powers, all the money, well, you know, the money, they get more than an admin worker would get.
So essentially, the filtering out process of that any organisation would use in order to make it to hone itself is, I suppose, it's a microcosm of what's happening in society in general. You're not allowed to discipline or chastise anybody for anything whatsoever because they might be upset. And it's against the law to upset people. Yeah, listen, I'm past the break, Jason, but thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:45. Obviously, trouble with Will Gowing.
And because of a signal problem tonight at...
I really like you. Do you like me?
This is a story about the police standards slipping. Standards of frontline policing in Britain are crumbling as constables get away with blue murder, an official report found just last week. Some officers show an astonishing lack of professionalism, including scruffy appearance, refusal to put themselves in danger, and slapdash paperwork. The report by Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary warns that the police service's traditional ethos of discipline is being eroded and calls for urgent action to halt the rot. Sergeants in charge of ensuring that constables toe the line are failing to control them for fear of being branded workplace bullies, the report found. Which, as I say, is a perfect mirror to society in general, isn't it? That's what's happening in schools and on the streets and everywhere. Blimey, if it's happening in the police force themselves, we haven't got a hope. Critics blamed Labour's obsession with targets for distorting policing priorities. That again. Young recruits behave as if they're surrounded by a force field, the report claims. A force field, eh? Wonder where they got that from. They frequently respond to criticism or discipline from their seniors by lodging official complaints of victimisation, which are often upheld. In one incident described in the report, a sergeant told a constable on his team that he needed a haircut. The officer replied, "You can talk, you look like a bag of bleep." Isn't that incredible? Oh, and by the way, this came out today. Police officers have been abusing their positions to check up on their daughters' boyfriends. Officers and civilian staff in Humberside Police have also used the Police National Computer to see if second-hand cars friends are considering buying have been stolen. David Griffin, the Deputy Chief Constable, stressed that the vast majority of the force's 4,000 staff were law-abiding. Blimey! The vast majority of police are law-abiding?
What?
Well, you would hope so. Isn't that extraordinary that you even have to say that? Not all of them. The vast majority. Well, I suppose you'd be grateful for that. Struth. M25. Hello, Brian.
Hello there, Nick.
Brian.
It's Graham, actually.
Pardon?
It's Graham.
OK.
I just want... I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but when they watch Sky TV these days, they keep censoring words and sentences out of whatever you're not watching. And it's so damn frustrating.
Like what? No, I mean, not words, but what sort of programmes?
Well, there's this Australian cops series that's on around tea time, and they'll bleep out the S word.
Well, that's fair enough. Tea time.
Yeah, I don't okay, that is fair enough. But then there's other words that they leave in there, which are probably just as bad. And then I was watching a film last night, Freedom Writers on Sky. And the whole film is based around, the black people, the white people, the Mexicans, and the way they're all segregated and everything else is trying to bring them together.
Yeah.
And there's Hillary Swanks in the restaurant talking to one of the teachers, and they just totally bleeped a whole sentence.
What?
And you think, well, it's a 15 film. The whole film is probably a bit, some people might find offensive.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that bad, but then they go and spoil it, and you think, well, what did he say?
That's a bit weird. So they're bleeping actual films?
Well, they did to bleep, but they just omitted it.
Right.
Was dead.
How strange. Which channel was that?
And that was on one of the channels.
Right. Sky Movie Channel?
Yeah.
I've never heard of such a thing. You sure your TV's not on the fritz?
Quite sure.
OK, well, I'll investigate further, Brian. Thanks very much.
OK.
Ta-da. I won't investigate further. I just said that. I don't know why I said that. I was lying when I said that. I should be a politician. I've never... I feel your pain. I find it very irritating. I mean, I'm a fan of Third Rock from the Sun. And when they were showing it on the Sci-Fi Channel, they would actually put a warning. Now, if you've ever seen Third Rock from the Sun, it's a sitcom of the family variety. It's about as dangerous as The Simpsons. And yet they would put warnings on before this programme contains scenes of a sexual nature. No, it doesn't. There might be certain scenes in this programme that viewers may find offensive. You'd have to be off your chump to find it offensive. It couldn't be more family-friendly. Ludicrous. But because it was going out at 3 o'clock, and because, as I said before, taking offence seems to be a competitive sport now, they have to cover themselves for every event, for every mouth-breathing lunatic who wants to register a complaint in green ink. Battersea, hello, Annette.
Oh, hello. Hello. Yes, I just wanted to say you were talking about the how do we know what God is like, and but in the Bible it mentions a lot about Jesus coming to reveal the face of God to us as his son, and being the perfect, man. He sort of gives us an example of how we are to try and be more sort of God-like. God was created. He wasn't created, he was begotten.
God was begotten?
Begotten, yes, in the Catholic Church and faith. That's what we say in our creed. We say, begotten, not made. He's sort of beyond our, we're limited in our sort of intelligence and understanding as creatures. So he, being the creator, creates us.
But God was begotten?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means he was always there, and we don't, he wasn't actually created. Everything else has been created, creation and we being part of that creation.
Everything has a start date except God, who's always been there.
Yes.
That's a bit of a hard concept to get your head around, really, isn't it?
It is, definitely. I mean, I don't always find it easy, but it is a sort of part of faith.
So if we were to draw this, essentially everything else is in a line with a start and an end point, and God's a circle.
Yes.
How about that? I just came up with that with my own brain.
Yeah, that was a good analogy, and so everything, Jesus being the perfect man, you know, that's how we are, you know, to sort of try and be like him, with God's grace. So the more we sort of connect to God and pray, the more, you know, we ask for his help so that we can become, you know, better.
Well, I'm in every day, in every way, Annette. I'm trying ever harder. How am I doing?
Very good, very good. No, you are. Very interesting.
All right, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Cheers, ta-da.
Bye.
I am God. And that is the official position of LBC. I bet there's not a single person that is offended by that. I think we got away with it. A text. Nudist beaches for harmless exhibitionists or creepy folk? Well, I could do the whole show on that, really. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Well, which would you say? Harmless exhibitionists or creepy folk? They don't ever look very nice, that's for sure. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have never been on a nudist beach in their lives. And people want to spend 14, 15 million pounds on pictures of their babies? Why? Why would they want to do that? They'll be pink and wrinkled and puffy and pooping and puking and covered in snot, like every other little baby. Why would you want a picture of that? Mystifying. Hey, have you made a list? You have? Well then, I wonder what we've talked about tonight then, Vizza?
Well, we talked about nudist beaches.
Oh, yes.
Family-friendly sitcoms, swear words, a 5-letter word for out of date.
Dated.
Moses, knife crime, and not talking about knife crime.
Yes.
Looking unwell.
Not talking about knife crime is the new talking about knife crime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you do look unwell, Nick.
Do I? Thanks very much.
BBC cab costs, Yorkie bars, police officers, kids are stupid if they don't use their hands, kids are compassionate as well, sleep study, mental arithmetic, CSES, whatever
6,
those
8,
are.
48, 7, 8, 50.
Bad eggs. What does God look like? Making an ashtray. Woodwork. Teachers, the good ones and the bad ones. Madonna and Guy.
Yeah.
Danny Kaye. Political correctness. YouTube. Squirrels. Tabloid.
Blimey, all sorts. LBC.
We are gathered here today to witness the sale of an endowment.
Right, well, there we are. Thanks very much to Nick Abbott, who's back tomorrow at the same time. Well, probably. I mean, he is looking a bit peaky. I'm Clive Bull, and I'm with you between now and 1 on LBC 97.3. Whatever you'd like to talk about with London tonight, there's a line clear right now. In fact, they're all clear right now on 0845 6060 973. Motorists win up to 94% of parking fines. Well, maybe it is worth appealing then. Have you tried? And celebrities giving their children silly names. Have you got a weird one? 0845 6060 973 is the number to call.